Hello guys, I just made some changes to the DPS chart and the weapon data table in the last week. This is a result of me changing my testing methods. That was necessary to ease the workload a little because testing got really complicated and really time consuming over the last few seasons because we tested so many data points. There are so many guns in the game. And Treyarch just keeps stealth changing things without ever mentioning them in the patch notes. So honestly, I got a little tired of testing so many things, spending so much dedicated time on testing weapons, and not really being able to enjoy the game. Because with my old testing method, if I had to retest guns, I basically just loaded into the match, went to round 10, then bought Pack-a-Punch 1, bought some perks, did my testing like rate of fire, damage testing, some recording, then repeated that whole process for the same gun, but with different attachments. And then I had to leave again on round 10. So this means I basically leave before the game really starts to be fun. Because in my opinion, between somewhere around 15 and 40, I think this is where I enjoy zombies the most. I did this whole test at Pack-a-Punch or retest on Pack-a-Punch 1 method to be able to react quicker to balancing updates. It just takes less time to test at Pack-a-Punch 1 than Pack-a-Punch 3. And with the whole damage scaling thing we did, we still got very accurate numbers. But it's just not fun to play it like this. So yeah, my new testing method is basically I test at Pack-a-Punch 3 now. This just means I start the game with any gun, then I just do my match, shoot some zombies. This can be done in public lobbies, in private lobbies, it doesn't really matter. And then as soon as I fully kitted out the gun, like Pack-a-Punch 3, legendary rarity, all my perks I need, then I just spend 2 or 3 minutes to write down my damage numbers. I take a short clip to take a look at the rate of fire value, and I take a look at the reload speed. And because I only test at one attachment combination anymore, so I leave out non-CHF barrel damage data, I leave out non-rapid fire rate of fire numbers. I don't even test on base level anymore. So I don't test without double tap. So this basically denses down the data I need to check drastically. It goes from 3 rate of fire values to just 1. It goes from 2 headshot damage numbers and 1 body shot damage number to just body and headshot. So it's just the time spending is less, and the time I spend playing the game is more. So even though this is technically slower, it means I don't need to spend dedicated time for testing anymore. And I did this because Treyarch again sneaked some rate of fire changes by me and some damage number changes I missed after Season 3. And honestly, if they can't do their patch notes properly, I'm just fucking tired of being the guy who needs to test everything again every season. Spend probably 10 hours a season just doing that. I'd rather not. It's as simply as that. And I still like this project. Don't get me wrong. I like to keep this going. I want to do this in Black Ops 7. But I need to do it in a way that I enjoy it. And after even just a week spending time with the new testing method, I can tell you it's so much less stressful to not test or not do so much boring stuff. I just can play with some random weapons. I actually have reasons now to get into a match with weapons I don't play as much because I don't like them, as an example, just to get more variety. So, just to explain you what that actually means. With the new season, all guns are tested with CHF barrel and with rapid fire if both of them are available. Only exceptions are some shotguns and some sniper rifles, because CHF barrel is not worth it on those, so I still test the base guns there, but I will add notes to the weapons when this is the case. And for perks and augments, what I settled on is, let me quickly check. Speed Cola with classic formula gives you the fastest reload speed. I made a poll about this a few months ago. Then Deadshot Mercury with Dead Head. I was torn between Dead Again and Dead Head, but it's 5.5% damage difference. Honestly, this is not a deal breaker. Even if you don't use Dead Head, you can still use the damage numbers. 5.5% damage is not much at all. So don't hesitate to change to other perks if you like those, or other augments. And then, another important thing, all rate of fire numbers are tested with double time. It's over here. This gives you the highest increase in rate of fire. I made another poll. Most of you guys are using that perk, so I settled on this. And then for augments, that doesn't really matter because I calculate DPS for both variants anyways. Either we calculate for double impact or for double standard. That works really well on shotguns. Or if you are not as... if you don't get as much critical hits, if you don't really focus on that, double standard is a really good perk. Even though double impact has more potential on most guns, don't hesitate to swap to double standard just because it doubles your body shot damage. If you are lazy, have a lazy day, or just don't really care about headshots, it's one of the better augments in the game. And that is my new baseline for weapon testing, basically. Pack-a-Punch 3, Legendary, all the perks I've mentioned. And this, because this is basically a loss in data available, I tried to bundle it with some changes to weapon data. Those were in the works anyways, but I delayed them basically until I could make the switch to new damage values. So all the damage values you now see in this sheet are native stats. They are not upscaled anymore, even though that was very accurate. But now this number is exactly what it is in the game. If you see some deviations here, tell me, because sometimes guns can slip through. But that's another thing I now document when I tested a gun for the last time. And you can see, even in the last week, I was already testing 10 to 15 guns. Just because I can do it while playing now. So I actually like doing it again. Yeah, one of the bigger changes is I basically grouped stats together. And they are divided, so it's more easy to realize what you're looking at. We have weapon-based stats. That is just everything I test. This is not scaled in any way. This is not calculated in any way. This is just raw stats that I take from in-game numbers or from in-game measurements. And those are then basically calculated into DPS stats more to the right. Another thing you already know is my ratings and my notes. Those are kind of outdated. I took a break after Season 3. So I didn't have much playtime with some weapons. So my understanding of what's good and what's bad is not as on point as it used to be. So I will spend more time playing with those guns again and to update the ratings because, yeah, I think DPS is not a perfect stat. It's Donuts mentioned that in his video after we talked about that. It's yeah, it can't reflect anything. We can't reflect penetration damage if a bullet hits multiple zombies in a row. we can't reflect explosive damage. Guns have recoil. Guns are more difficult or less difficult to use. So even though DPS is basically the best tool we have right now, it's not perfect. So always try to, think about that. And that's why I added notes and ratings, so people who can't be bothered to look into advanced stats just basically can have a quick look. This has a good DPS, but it's a semi-auto gun. Maybe I should take a look at something else. And this is my thought process here. So yeah, back to the stats. One more thing I added. That's ammo economy. This just multiplicates all the bullets you get with one max ammo buy, or with a max ammo drop or an ammo buy, and it multiplies it by the damage you can do, and then divides it through the health value of zombies at around 55. It's just easier to see it from that perspective than just giving you raw damage stats that are somewhere in the millions and you can't really understand them. So this tells you how many zombies could I kill at round 55 if I buy ammo once. And this shows you PVSH as an example is really fucking bad. I don't know what Treyarch thought with this gun, but it shoots very fast. It doesn't have much reserve ammo. It's just a pain in the ass. On the other hand, there are guns like the LR762 that just never run out of ammo. It's explosive. It has so much reserve ammo compared to the damage it does. You can keep going with this forever, and you will get a max ammo drop or a special round sometime before you run out. So ammo doesn't matter at all with that gun. The next thing is DPS with reloads. Now that Donuts has another DPS sheet online, and you see very different numbers between us, I can give you an explanation why. This calculates how much time it takes to reload, and then removes that time or that damage basically from your DPS stat. So some guns with small magazines or slow reload speeds, you just can't do as much damage in practical terms with those than other guns. So I try to reflect that in my numbers, and that's why I always see this as my up and center stat, because it is easier this way to judge the performance of a gun. And how this is done is basically I calculate different double tap augments on headshots and on body shots. And then this column just takes a look, what is the highest number here, and displays it there. And for an example on shotguns with the double standard augment, let me check for the shotguns quickly. Should be further down somewhere or higher up. It's the Maelstrom as an example. It does the highest damage with body shots for the Dragon's Breath variant. It's honest, it's even different on the standard one, but still use this perk because body shots are so much easier to hit than headshots. And the Maelstrom just does crazy body shot damage. You don't need to aim at all with that thing. So another thing I added was the Maelstrom Dragon's Breath that took some changes to my DPS formula. And now I just add the burn damage on top. And a quick explanation, you see, or you would think that Dragon's Breath is a huge DPS reduction. But be in mind, it has just a 3-meter range. So Dragon's Breath extends that to 12, I think. And after 3 minutes, the DPS already starts to drop off. So in practical terms, the Dragon's Breath variant is better in any regard because it has more range, it has burn damage. And I mean, everyone who played with that thing, you know how good it is. So this is still, I think, the best gun in the game. One more thing is then sustained DPS. This is without reload times. As an example, if you use a free fire gobble gum, or if you have frenzied guard with the take ammo from reserves instead of the magazine augment, you can just fire 15 seconds without ever needing to reload, or even longer. So this is what this damage number is for. It's just the raw DPS without any reload times. And there you can see what gun is best for boss DPS as an example. Kind of difficult because bosses have very special critical multipliers, so you can't really I don't know what the English word for that is, conclude from zombie damage to boss damage. But still, guns that do higher DPS in general just are better at boss damage. One more thing is I added notes to every column now. So hover above headshot damage, it explains you the conditions it is tested in. Body shot damage, reload times, everything. I just want to be more transparent so you guys get a better understanding how this actually works. Same for the DPS columns. It just tells you what perks were used, why is this that useful, and so on. The shots to kill and the time to kill calculations are not finalized. Usually you can select the round here and then it tells you how many shots does it take to kill a zombie. And this is calculated into time to kill values, but I didn't add all the descriptions and headlines yet. So yeah, this is work in progress. I will change that over the next few days. Yeah, that's basically it. So I'm sorry that I had to cut down on the damage numbers, but I just need to do it for this to be sustainable. Yeah, I really like this project. I want to keep it going into Black Ops 7, but there were some sacrifices necessary to make it possible, because I do testing almost all the time alone. Yeah. The advantage is now that I think it's better understandable because you actually know what perks do I use, what attachments do I use. The damage numbers are closer to the in-game values before the rounding. It wasn't really far off. It was usually just a digit. So my data was very precise before, but now it's actually native stats. And there are even some small things I didn't know before, like, as an example, some explosive weapons for some reason do more headshot damage. I never realized that. But yeah, those damage numbers are from someone who does testing like I do, and I compare my numbers with his every season. So I took his Pack-a-Punch 3 numbers, and they are very accurate. This guy is on point with his numbers. He doesn't publish them, so there is not a sheet you can look at, but I fully trust him because our damage numbers always lined up to the last digit. So I took his numbers basically, and then I just go through all the weapons again and retest them. And every damage number I found so far was 100% correct. So I trust those numbers, but they will be more regularly checked from now on. Same with rate of fire numbers and other things. Yeah. So if you have any comments, you can either leave me a YouTube comment. You just can go in the comments and leave me one there, or in the sheet you can just add a comment if you right click and click on any cell. As an example, if you see any mistakes or if you have questions, you can always leave them there. Same for the Discord, of course. If you are a member of the Discord, just How did that happen? That was a comment that it doesn't matter. That's just weird. Why is it there? I have no idea. What I wanted to say is, write us a comment in the Discord. Just get us feedback. If you have ideas, if you have things we should change, or if you want to know something, just ask. I am always glad for feedback. I'm always glad to answer questions. I'm always glad to help you guys out. So yeah, thanks for being around. Thanks for the positive feedback I get with this. I will bring this into Black Ops 7. Actually, I can't wait to do it again because this is just the greatest time of the year. Many new stuff to test. A new meta. It's just an exciting time. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a nice day.